You're really hitting on something really important here. I think a lot of times, without even realizing it, we're in relationship to see what we can get from the person or the relationship. There's something we want to get out of the interaction. And the same thing with the land. We go to the land and there's something we want to get out of it. Instead of having a real, almost childlike innocence, a very adult childlike innocence, and being in a place of constant discovery, rather than locking in and thinking, well, I'm in my marriage and I want children and I want a house and I want sun holidays and all these things, and once I've got that I'll be happy. And the truth is, that isn't where happiness comes from, and we know that. Happiness comes in the little moments. A warm hand on the shoulder, or a moment walking on the land. That's
or a sunbeam coming through the clouds.
Yeah, that's a nice thing.
Amazing.
We have that.
Yeah.
Those are the moments that give us a real sense of something that is who we are, and it's it's greater than who we even dared to imagine we can be. And relationship is what reveals that. Just like I was saying earlier, the senses are what reveal to us that we're alive, and they also reveal to us that we're divine. And our relationships do the same. Our relationship with the land and with each other reveals to us that we're alive, that we are consciousness, and that there is something even more here to be discovered.
One of the epiphanies I suppose I had when I started my own healing work was how the similarities between people's relationship with the land and people's relationship with each other, how that interaction was important, in the sense that the land and the relationship we have with the land very much reflected the relationship we have with each other. Yeah.
I think that in our relationships with the land is so accepting, and it's very forgiving in a lot of ways. We're not always so forgiving with each other in relationship. We have an argument and we might hold on to it, or we get really hurt. But the land is a place that, even if the relationship has been maybe not as close as we want it to be, all we need to do is go back to the land, and it'll actually show us a way back to the relationship. Nature has a way of showing us how to be resilient, how to be devoted. And it also shows us that we can't neglect each other. When a place is neglected, it starts to lose its vibrancy. And the same thing about a relationship.
It's to do with self-consciousness, I think.
I think a lot of our disconnect from each other and the land, just like you said, is sometimes I think it's an insecurity. We get up in our head and we think there's a certain way to connect. And we lose our natural magnetism.
When people are, traumatized, when people have experienced trauma or have experienced hurt in relationship, withdrawing to the world of the animals and pets, or withdrawing to the land and the natural places, is hugely healing for them.
Yeah, I think it's a place where they feel accepted.
Yeah.
Like when you have a pet at home. I used to have a little dog, and she was so happy to see me, no matter what I'd done that day, no matter what kind of mood I was in. And it's that kind of acceptance that I think we're starving for. You say it so many times, the land wants to be seen, and we want to be seen. We want to be seen with all of our parts, all our weeds, everything. And it doesn't mean that we get to be, to be again, indulge ourselves in our nastier moods, but just knowing that the nasty, the bitterness always reveals the sweet. This is something that I've learned in life. Whenever you take a bitter fruit, what you'll taste next is sweetness. And that sweetness didn't come from the fruit. It came from your own heart. And this is what happens if we learn how to be more conscious in our relationships, and also in our relationship with the land. They're really the same thing. Tantra is teaching us how the universe is our body, right? So how the land is our body. And these devotional practices and these relational practices of Tantra teach us how to let go of all the sort of fixed ways of seeing, like you said, the manicured gardens way of seeing our lives, and to allow the beauty of nature to continue to reveal herself, because it's an unending process. The world is evolving, it's changing. And some of us are afraid about that. We're afraid of climate change, we're afraid of the different changes that are happening. How can we be in relationship? It's like being in relationship with a woman when she's going through the menopause, There's going to be lots of different changes. And there's a lot of beauty in it too. And so rather than resist things and try to put them back, and again, not saying that we don't want to be healthy or have the land and the climate be healthy, but how can we be a lover and a beloved with the land through the changes that she's going through right now, and then see what's the next door that opens, just like in a relationship. Joe and I are not serious people. We might seem really serious right now as we're on this.
Yeah.
But we love to have a laugh, and we love to be very down to earth. I was born in Tennessee. Everyone knows I'm from California, but just to give you some background, I'm as much of a farm girl as possible. I grew up in tobacco country, listened to Johnny Cash and Earl Scruggs and Ernie Flats. Who was it? These two fiddlers. And so I grew up on the land. I grew up with a relationship to the land, and I'll get out there and I'll be crawling around in the land with you, and I have a real attraction to the fairies. I can definitely feel the spirits, the nature spirits here.
Yeah. The other thing that can happen is, what I notice is that we can take the people who are close to us and the places who are close to us, and even the moments that are so natural, we can take them all for granted.
Yeah, you're talking about keeping our senses awake. And so much of Tantra is about that. They're in the tantric way of seeing life. We know we're here because we have senses. And otherwise, we'd just be, we would, if I didn't see, smell, taste, feel the world, I might be here, but I'd never know it, right? And so in our relationships, we build up these barriers because the mind remembers the person, and we go on that. We go on a memory, like, oh, you like your tea this way, and you get angry if the telly's not on at that time or whatever. We start to form habits with each other. And what nature and what the earth and what the land and really what Tantra is inviting us to do is to enter each moment completely fresh, totally brand new. Let our senses be awake. Let ourselves not take somebody for granted, but be curious about the discovery and the adventure all the time. And this is a discipline. It's so easy to go walk in a beautiful garden and sort of be focused on work at home or something and we don't even see the trees. We don't see the flowers. We don't see anything. We're just in our own quagmire. And why did we even go for the walk anyway? Why are we in relationships anyway? It takes a discipline to say, right, I'm going to take a moment right now, and I'm going to open my senses. I'm going to open up this pathway that makes me human and connects me to the land. And it's about starting every relationship for the first time, every time. And when we do that, we have access to so much passion. And it's passion that is a passion for being alive, for being parents, for being partners, for being, in your job. It's that self-starter kind of energy, which is really how we're all meant to live. But most of us are living through memory, and we're living through this stuck way of seeing things the way we've always seen them. And a lot of that has to do with the technology today. It's fantastic in some ways, but in other ways, it's separating us from this one-to-one, experience. And I'm so glad we got to do this. I'm in Ireland now, so we get to do this live. We were going to do it on Skype, which is also fantastic. But I can see your eyes change when I'm talking. You can see me. You can see, we can feel the bodies react. This is relationship, and this is what Tantra has always been for thousands of years. Shamanism has been for thousands of years. And I feel like it's a way for us to keep our humanity. And that's why we're bringing this course to Dunderry, and I'm so excited about that. Yeah. I've heard so many things about Dunderry, and I've been, in relationship with Network Holistic for all these many years, for probably 20 years. So I'm looking forward to just experiencing what he's created, what you'll create, what I'm going to bring. I'm looking forward to the mystery. I'm looking forward to the magic. I'm looking forward to offering my heart to the land there, and meeting some really incredible people. I know that Dunderry attracts some really extraordinary people. I've done holotropic breath work, in the past. I did that for many years before I started my Tantra journey. Love it. Shamanic practices with you here in Ireland. Love it. So the weaving of all of this, I feel like this is going to be an experience that we're going to be talking about for a long time and receiving gifts from for a long time. So I'm looking forward to the people and the place.
Weaving the Tantra and the shamanism is so powerful for both of us. So I'm really looking forward to that. And for the amazing insights that will come from it, right? And the empowerment for all our journeys and the sharing. And Dunderry is an absolutely magical place. It's an incredible place, yeah.
I'm excited.
It's a wonderful, wonderful place for us to work.
And I feel like this kind of intimacy is food for our soul. It really is. It's nourishment. And like you were saying earlier, it's nourishment for the land. When we're receiving from the land is joyous. I know that.
Yeah, you see, the land can only see itself through our eyes. I mean, we are the self-consciousness of the land. So that's why, for me, the way we treat land and the way we treat places has a very big effect on how the land feels about itself and how it manifests. I'm struck by how in certain cities, certain areas end up manifesting a load of rubbish. The trees don't grow well, and other places are beautiful and the land is looked after. It's very interesting because the land has a very big say in manifesting who lives there and in manifesting its energy. But that say is affected the same as we're affected by what we learn in our childhood and how people react to us when we're growing up. That's affected by how the land has been reacted to, how the land has been treated by people.
Yeah.
And where places are traumatized, where they have experienced conflict in the past, like I noticed, for instance, maybe I'm going out to a land healing, and it's interesting because it's a place like a house maybe where people have come and lived at the house and the relationship is broken up. Then another set of people buy the same place and the relationship breaks up. And another set of people buy the same place and the relationship breaks up. So the land places is attracting the same scenario each time. But it's almost like, it's like in relationships sometimes with people, we repeat the same scenario, get the same type of partner, trying to work out, and we end up in the same place. And what it needs is somebody to sit and to listen. And it's the very same with place. If all it wants is for somebody to really sit and hold the space for it to work out its own trauma, just the same as people. Because we can't make things right for somebody who has suffered abuse or somebody who has been in a difficult situation, but we can listen and hold the space for them and see, the empowerment they have within themselves to overcome the difficulty and to help them and encourage them to connect with that.
Yeah, and this is something that you're so good at, is being in the land, being with the space, being with people, so that they can discover themselves. And just like you said, last night I was doing some research on trauma, and that when someone is traumatized, what they need is to feel accepted and to feel listened to and to feel there's space for them. Not for the fixing to happen, not for the advice to happen, not for the shaming to happen, just to be there, just to be really open with an open heart. And this is what you do so beautifully. I remember the first time that you and I taught together up in Wicklow, doing the shrines, on the land. And first just sitting with the land to see, where does this land want us to build our shrine, our place of communing with the land. And this offering and this relationship, and not imposing something on the land, but letting something arise from the land. I'm very lucky.
It brings much more magic, so am I.
So much magic.
I spend my time,
So much magic.
living what I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which seems so simple, and it seems such a gift, which it is, but it's unfortunate that so many people have yet to embrace that.
Well, it's like you said earlier, we're taught to go after goals, and there's nothing wrong with having goals and visions. What I'm finding is when we create this space that we're going to be creating at Dunderry in October, the goals come to us. All the gifts and all the next steps will arrive on your doorstep. I am not kidding you. You know, who am I and how who I am keeps arriving. I keep getting mystified by learning about who I am. And this is what happens for the participants in the workshops.
Yeah.
You know, mystified by these aspects of yourself that you'd never made space for before.
Yeah. As we walk through the forest, you know, as we walk through the gardens and we don't see them, just the same as a person, if we ignore the person, if we don't actually see them, they feel it. Well, the land actually feels it. It doesn't, it's just sad. So, like, I'm often drawn to the fact that, you know, people, the first thing they do is they get a lawnmower when they see daisies on the lawn, and they go out and mow them all because they hate this idea of their lawn being full of daisies. The word daisy means sunwheel. The flower is so beautiful, the little flower that it's got. It looks like the sun with the yellow centre, and people rarely stop to look. But yet when we're children, we will make the daisy change and we will extol them. But when we're adults, suddenly they're a problem. And one of the things about the daisy is, no matter how much the daisy is mowed, it just comes back again. It doesn't aggressively come back, or it doesn't disappear. It just keeps flowering. It keeps offering us the opportunity to see its beauty. Yeah.
And you're really describing what mature human relationship can be with men and women.
Yes.
And what the evolution of consciousness through men and women and through the land is providing for us. And it's just giving ourselves time to make the time and go through the rituals. You know, there are beautiful rituals of shamanism, beautiful practices, and the same with the tantric practices. What they're doing is they're just waking us up. It's Yeats has this amazing poem. I probably won't get it word for word, but he said the world is filled with magic things waiting for our senses to get sharper. And I feel like this says it all. There's so much here for us to experience, all the colors of emotion and experience. And we're human, and we have this amount of time to be here. And shamanism and Tantra teaches us ways to deepen that experience, to have a life that is fulfilling, but not just fulfilling, a life that is a gift to the land. You know?
If we don't have the space to open as ourselves and to get to know ourselves, or get to know more of ourselves, or get to kind of experience that not knowing of ourselves, where it's okay not to know, and to embrace that adventure. If we don't do that, we never truly experience life. We can go through our whole lives playing a game, playing the game of the patterns we have, and not realizing that we're actually missing everything because we're chasing this goal or chasing that goal, and it's only in the end. You know, they say that most people, and I would believe it to be absolutely true because in my own experience of talking to people who are at the end of their lives, and one of the things, of course, we facilitate transition as well, but it's that they're not so much regretful of things they have done as for opportunities that they've missed, what they haven't seen. You know, and Tantra and shamanism and the allowing that vision brings us to that awareness so that we don't miss, so that we are fully alive.
Yeah, you're making a really good point. I think in our relationships, you know, when there's a breakup and we feel that grief, sadness, and rage at a breakup, that we attribute it to the other person maybe doing something wrong. And I have a different perspective. I think a lot of what we feel when there's a kind of startling breakup is regret for all the things that we didn't say and we didn't do and the ways we didn't reveal ourselves in the relationship. We make it about the other person, that they weren't there enough. But in a lot of ways, we didn't take ourselves and we didn't reveal ourselves. We were on automatic. We were just trying to pay the bills. We were just trying to get things done. And what we regret at the end of the relationship and what we grieve is the loss of ourselves, and that the person that we were with never really got to know us. I think that's a big sadness at the end, of a relationship, whether it's through death or it's from a breakup, is that I never really let myself be known. And the land can teach us that. She wants to be known, and she shows us she's so beautiful, she's so attractive and attracting. And she also commands respect. In California, I was swimming in the ocean. It was a stormy afternoon, and I should not have been. I always swim out past the break, and I should not have been out there because then it was hard to get back because the tide kept pulling me out. And then I realized she's a formidable partner. She is really so powerful, and in that, the swimming, I had to surrender at one point. I had to surrender and feel the currents and start to move with the currents to get back to the shore, or I probably wouldn't have made it. And so I got to know a deeper part of myself. I got to fall into a relationship that was deeper with nature. And it's also humbling. When we're having an argument with someone, we kind of feel like we're always right. I never feel like I'm always right, but some people feel like they're always right. And we're both right. We both have something that's important to us that we're trying to communicate. And can we take a step back, like when I was in the ocean? Just pause for a moment, like you said, just be with the place. These moments of really two people really sharing space. And that's what we'll be doing at Love in the Land at Dunderry in October, is creating these moments. This is what I love to do, and this is what you're so good at doing, is that we're teaching the practices and we're experiencing the land and the rituals and the beauty of Dunderry. And then also really in the space, we'll all have an experience to be in this place of real communion, real relationship, and in a very lighthearted way, a very fun way. Lots of laughs.
Perfect.
Lots of laughs, lots of tears, lots of tea. And lots of time on the land, and lots of time being really, really open to being ourselves and everyone else, opening their hearts and being who they truly are.